In this video, we're going to talk about cybersecurity, data privacy, and Fallsburg's acceptable use policy. This presentation has three parts. First, we'll talk about cybersecurity and general best practices when using the internet. Next, we will cover some federal and state laws. And finally, we will cover the acceptable use of Fallsburg Central School District technology. First, let's talk about maintaining a positive digital footprint. This short video explains more about your digital footprint. Most websites you visit these days will track you. Whether you actively use social media or not, you are on the internet. Others will post pictures of you and might even include your name. Keep an eye on what you post and what others post about you. Once something is posted on the internet, it is impossible to remove it or control who it is shared with. You can't take things back that have been posted on the internet.
Damn, she's hot. Really? What are you doing?
She's just doing this so guys can notice her. God, look at her hair. What is she doing? Oh my god.
Have you tried to get internet stalkers?
Like, it's so hot.
Once you post your picture online, you can't take it back. Think before you post.
Always think before you post. Be careful about what you share. You should never share a password with anyone. Be careful about sharing personal information with companies or anyone that you don't know personally. Sharing pictures taken with smartphones can be dangerous, as the phones embed data such as the location the photo was taken, which can allow a malicious actor to find out your location. Don't go to websites that seem questionable. Always think twice before opening links in emails or on social media. Always lock your computer when you leave your desk. If you don't, you risk things like someone sending an email pretending to be you, or even worse, stealing or altering your own or student information. You can press the Windows key and L at the same time to lock your computer. You can also press Ctrl-Alt-Delete and then select Lock. Closing your Chromebook will lock it, or you can press the Lock button, which is on the upper right-hand corner of the keyboard. Create strong passwords and do not share them with anyone. The latest guidance is to not frequently change passwords, as when they are changed frequently, people typically make them easier to remember. Use a combination of letters, numbers, and special characters for each password. Do not reuse passwords across multiple platforms. Some ideas for strong passwords are to replace letters with numbers or symbols. Here's the word replace, with the E's replaced with 3's and the A replaced with the @ sign. Replacing S's with $signs is a good idea as well. You could use shortcuts or acronyms in honor of Shakespeare, to be or not to be. You can also use passwords with some common elements, but that are changed for each website, such as these two that say "Let me in AMZN" for Amazon, or "Let me in BNN" for Barnes & Noble. There are also many secure password locker applications, either built into phones or available as add-on apps. You can also use the one that's built into your Google account. Phishing is the root of many hacks. Phishing is really just phishing. They're dropping the bait to see who bites. They're trying to trick you into filling out forms or cause you to click on links that install spyware on your computer. Will you click? A couple of years ago, a school district right here in Sullivan County was the victim of an attack. The attack happened in October, and all systems weren't back online until December, and the cost was tremendous. To prevent phishing, ask yourself, do you know or recognize the "from" address of the contact's name? Look carefully at the entire email. Does anything look off? Does the message contain incorrect grammar or misspelled words? Does the message ask you to take action on something you didn't request? Don't click on links. Instead, hover your cursor over the links to determine if the address is unknown, suspicious, or misleading. Sometimes bad actors will create websites that look very similar to legitimate websites. If the email is asking for personal information, you can always call the sender directly and ensure that it is them asking for that information. Here's a short video on how phishing attacks work.
What do you think a phishing attack looks like? This? Or this? Maybe this? Ugh, not quite. In this instance, we're spelling phishing with a PH, and it's one of the most common online scams around. So what is it? Say you receive an email from your bank. They're asking you to log into your account and update your details. They've even provided a handy link that will take you straight to the relevant page. Great. Except that email isn't from your bank, it's from me. And I've set up a very convincing website that looks just like your bank site. So when you click my link and follow the bank's instructions, what you're actually doing is giving me all your login information and whatever personal or banking data I've asked for. Thanks. These kinds of emails have become commonplace in recent years, to the point that they're a bit of a joke. We've all laughed at the "Nigerian prince wants to send me his fortune" email. It's so obviously a scam. How does anyone fall for it? Well, firstly, if it didn't work at least some of the time, no one would do it. But secondly, by making you believe that all phishing emails are that obvious, those scammers have lulled you into a false sense of security, meaning you're much less likely to spot a better executed attempt. In a 2015 study, 97% of people were unable to identify sophisticated phishing emails. How many of those people thought they were too smart to be fooled? Part of the problem is that many people don't realize how personalized phishing can be. Targeted attacks are called spear phishing, and they're geared towards you. Usually, these phishers will have some prior information on you, taken from social media or online public records. They use this to tailor an email which seems too specific to be a generic scam, and so is far more believable and likely to yield results. And scammers know this. In a review of over 500,000 mailboxes, it was found that 77% of spear phishing attacks targeted 10 people or less. More alarmingly, 33% targeted just one. So what does one of these look like? Well, say your colleague has gone on holiday to Mexico. You know he's in Mexico because you saw him check into the airport on Facebook. A few days later, he sends you an email. He's really sorry to reach out. His phone, wallet, and passport have been stolen, but fortunately, he remembered your email address. Could you possibly wire him some money using this link? Obviously, he'll pay you back. He's just in a bit of a tight spot and needs to pay the consulate for his new passport. None of this is particularly far-fetched or difficult to believe, but all the same, it's not true. This is a spear phishing attempt. Your colleague's Facebook privacy settings are wide open, so his airport check-in was visible to the whole world, including our scammer, who only needed 5 minutes to Google your colleague's workplace, find you and your email address, and then fire off a compelling sob story. It doesn't even need to be that specific. How many people are going to question a Google Calendar meeting invitation from their boss? Just click here to RSVP, sign into Google, and as easy as that, you've given away your login details. So aside from ignoring emergency emails from your friends and deleting anything your boss sends you without opening it, what can you do to stay safe? Firstly, when you get an email, really check that it is what it says it is. Secondly, never click any links provided. If someone wants you to log in, go to their website independently and log in from there. If you're still unsure, find a legitimate number and call the company involved to ask about the email. Customer security is a big deal, and they won't be fazed by being asked questions like this. Thirdly, if you absolutely have to follow a link, triple check the URL of the website you've been sent to and make sure it matches up with where you log in normally. Just seeing a padlock is not enough. There are all kinds of tricks to fool even those with a deep understanding of URL schemas, so you need to exercise extreme caution. Phishing attacks are called that for a reason. A lot of the time, those behind them are just throwing out a line and seeing who bites. But by being aware of how these kinds of scams operate and exercising vigilance, you're making it far less likely that you'll be the one to take the bait. What do you think of phishing?
Here are some examples from Fallsburg in the past year of phishing attacks. The first email is a spear phishing attempt that was sent to Mr. Greco, purporting to be a teacher asking to change their direct deposit information. Mr. Greco sensed that it wasn't real and reached out to the teacher directly, who confirmed that they did not send the email. The second email was sent to many staff members. Notice that it includes Dr. Katz's name on it. That link was to a form that collected login information. This one was sent to over 150 staff members. Clicking the link in the email brings users to a Google form that asks for an email address and password. Again, it uses Dr. Katz's name to try to make it look more legitimate. This email was sent from an account that had been compromised from a school in North Carolina. We called that school and let them know that they had a user with a compromised account. To help educate staff members about phishing, we are sending simulated phishing emails to all staff members with email addresses. If you receive an email that you think is phishing, please report it using the red fish hook in your email. The fish hook is now available in mobile apps, and you may need to click the arrow on the right side of your email on desktop or Chromebook to see the fish hook. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, also helps increase network security and protect against phishing attacks. Cisco's most recent cybersecurity trends report stated that phishing is the root cause of about 90% of data breaches. That's why this is so important. Last year, we implemented MFA for all administrators and teachers, and we're going to ask more staff members to set it up this year. You will only be asked to verify with your phone when you log into a new computer for the first time. After that, it will trust that device and it won't ask for the second factor again. MFA provides another layer of security because if your password is compromised and a bad actor tries to log in, they will need to enter the code that comes to your phone or Gmail app, which they will not be able to do. The second part of this presentation consists of an overview of applicable federal and state laws related to technology. The first one is FERPA, which is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. This act was enacted in 1974, and it protects privacy of student educational records. The act serves two primary purposes. One, it gives parents or eligible students more control over their educational records by allowing them to review records and request them to be changed. And it prohibits educational institutions from disclosing personally identifiable information, or PII, in education records without the written consent of an eligible student, or, if the student is a minor, the student's parents. Next up is New York Education Law 2D. One of the provisions of Ed 2D is that it requires us to enter into a data privacy agreement with any vendor that receives student PII, such as names or email addresses. There is a Parent's Bill of Rights for data privacy and security as required by Ed Law 2D posted on our website. This Bill of Rights must be included with every agreement with a third-party contractor that receives student PII. These agreements must be approved by the Board of Education. If there's a new product you'd like to use, check the Approved and in Progress spreadsheet. There's a link to that in Tools for Teachers. If the product does not appear on the list, email me and I will investigate whether the company will enter into an Ed2D data sharing agreement with us. We use Virtru to encrypt our emails. If you need to send PII via email, you must use Virtru to encrypt that email. However, please use Virtru only when needed. Don't send every email using Virtru. Here are some Fallsburg policies and regulations. First up is our acceptable use policy, 4526-R. Some highlights are employee responsibilities. Employees should never share their password or account with anyone. Staff shall not use their district email account to subscribe to anything that is personal or non-school related. Teachers will preview all the materials and sites they require or recommend students to access. Students in grades pre-K through 6 will be provided links access and are not permitted search access. Staff members will only allow students to communicate electronically for educational purposes. Board Policy 8330 says school-owned materials or equipment may be used by district employees and/or students for school-related purposes. Please make sure that any equipment being removed from the campus has been signed out. Your Chromebook has been signed out to you. You can take it home. Staff data files and electronic storage areas, including email, shall remain district property subject to district control and inspection. Staff should not expect that information stored on the network will be private. There is no expectation of privacy here. Do not use your school account for personal business. Internet Safety Policy 4526.1 says the Computer Network Coordinator shall monitor and examine all district computer network activities to ensure compliance with this policy. Audits will be done. Use your school accounts and equipment for schoolwork only. Use your personal accounts and equipment for non-school related activities. We also have regulations for personal use of social media. Definitions of web content include social media, district professional use of social media, and personal use of social media. Professional use of social media. So any staff member wishing to use social media as representatives of the district must first consult and receive clearance from their supervisor. Once approved, a link must be provided directly from the Fallsburg website. Staff member and position must clearly be identified. The page should be created specifically for the intended purpose, meaning not a personal page, and postings must be monitored. Personal use of social media. You may identify yourself as an employee of the district. If you do so, you must state that you're expressing your own opinion, not that of the district. You may not use the district's logo or images, and you should not contact current students via social media at any time. Student use of the network is supervised by you. Students are required to comply with the requirements and instructions of supervising staff members. You are in charge of what happens in the classroom. You are the supervisor. Set the limits and enforce them. We need to model and teach acceptable use of the network. We need to be the role models. A student's network account is their work account. So acceptable use of a work account, what does that mean? If you are using school time for any of these, shopping, quick email to grandma, checking personal email accounts, a quick online game of Candy Crush, or something else, checking your Facebook, you need to be able to live with it and defend it. How would you feel if it were published on the front page of the New York Times? These are public records, so be careful. So in summary, you can't take it back. Let's maintain a positive digital footprint. Thank you, and I am wishing you a great school year.